Now, in mathematics, they do want you to develop orderliness, neatness, sequence, so that things are easy to follow and helps you to get to a solution. So I've written them up. Let's work on number 1 and try to follow what we've illustrated previously and see what you get. Okay, so here we're going to subtract 8, and we get 3u now equals 6. Divide both sides by 3. These cancel out, become a 1. U is going to be 2. All right, let's work on number 2. All right, you're going to subtract 5. You get a negative 2y equals 14. Going to divide both sides, being careful of the signs, by negative 2. Here the numerical coefficients cancel out, become a 1. Y equals negative 7. All right, next step, I'll get you started. You're going to put a bracket. See if you can get the equation now without fractions. Well, you're going to multiply everything by 9. So here the 9's cancel out, and you're left with 13n. 3 will go into 9 3 times, so 3 times 2 is 6. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. So the next step would be to subtract 6 from both sides, and we get 13n equals 15, and then divide both sides by 13, and your answer is 15/13. Now as we get to example 4, we're going to introduce a couple of other things as background. Again, when you see an equation with decimals, as we see here, each term has 2 decimal places, where we're allowed to multiply everything here by 100. And that would just get rid of all the decimal places. So now we don't have to worry about decimals. And I'm also going to introduce another term, 2 variations of it, transposition and transpose. So if you notice, after I looked at this, I got rid of all my decimals, and then I saw I had 2 variables on this side, and I had a number. So what I did is I took this negative 498 and physically moved it to the other side. Now, when I take a negative term, move it to the other side, it becomes positive. That is, it's sort of like adding 498 here, adding 498. The shortcut is you just move it to the other side, change its sign. So I did that. So now I have something a little easier. I've done some inspection. I use knowledge of things that I can do. And now I end up with, on this side, 70, a negative 72 V equals, when I added these together, 603. Now, when I isolate the V, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 72. Now, this gives me a kind of a weird number. I get V equals, when I do that, 8.375. Now, they want us to round this off to 2 decimal places. So I look at my third decimal place, it's a 5. When the third decimal place is a 5 or more, we drop the 5 and add 1 to the 7 here, and our answer becomes 8.38. Now, if you put in there 8.375, they're going to count it wrong because they've asked you to round to 2 decimal places. That's the instructions here as well. All right, so we'll use this from time to time, but you can still use the other method that we showed you earlier. Let's go on. So as we look at example 5, I've written it out. What will be my least common denominator here? So I can get rid of a 3, an 8, and a 6. And if you said 24, that is correct. All right, take a moment, go through this, and see what your next line would be. Okay, if you have something like this, now we're going to combine like terms and see what you get. So this is going to be 11W. As we transpose that and do the subtraction, we're going to add 16 or transpose that on this side. It becomes a positive 16. So this will be a negative 4. Then you divide by the numerical coefficient, and you get W equals a negative 4/11. Now, as we do the last one in this section here, you might say, should you write this out? Well, no. What I would do is I would distribute that and clear the parentheses, and that's what I would write here. So take a moment and see what you get for this line. Something like this. So now here we have a variable, a number. Here a variable, but we can combine this. So let's do that. 24x minus 16 equals 5x. This is going to be a negative 12. Now take it to the next step. What do you get? Well, we're going to subtract 5x from both sides. This gives me 19x here. I'm going to add 16 to this side, transpose it, becomes a positive 16. This becomes a positive 4. Now I'm going to divide both sides by the numerical coefficient, and I get x equals, well, I get the wrong one here. Here it is, 4/19. And that will wind up this section.